When it comes to what is right and what is wrong, sometimes the line is blurry. Yolanda tried exposing Australia's worst paedophile. He was cleared to keep working in childcare centres and went on to abuse more kids. But when she blew the whistle, she was charged by police. The alleged crime, sharing confidential documents. So is she the bad guy here? Today was her chance to convince the court she's not.
You feeling okay about today?
Yolanda Baruki heading into court this morning to learn her fate. She was brought here by Queensland Police, charged with computer hacking just days after giving this interview to A Current Affair about the same police service's handling of its investigation into Australia's worst paedophile, Ashley Griffith.
How many families would not go through the trauma if they will do the investigation properly?
Yolanda had exposed concerns with how Queensland Police handled a complaint she helped file regarding Griffith some 10 months before he was eventually arrested and charged with sexually abusing 91 children across 2 states over 15 years. Griffith was able to abuse 4 more young children after being cleared by police due to a lack of evidence.
If they will check properly of his devices, they definitely will find something at this point of time.
Just days after the interview aired, Queensland Police raided her home.
What are you guys doing here?
We're here to execute a search warrant. Everything will be explained to you once we go inside, okay?
Yolanda, a grandmother with no criminal history, was scared and confused as she was confronted by 4 detectives armed with guns and tasers outside her home. Officers from Task Force Argos usually lock up predators and rescue children from harm, but were instead on a mission to seize this whistleblower's devices after a complaint by her former employer, the Uniting Church.
Do you have any other questions at the moment?
No, we just appalled, that's all.
You what, sorry?
Appalled.
Appalled? Okay, I'm not sure why you're appalled.
I am injured. I'm on work cover. I could not cope. I could not sleep. Knocking with all of you without any warning, like to the criminal.
Since that day, Yolanda's life has been on hold for 15 months, with a maximum sentence of 10 years jail hanging over her head. The prosecution provided several witnesses from the Uniting Church who gave evidence that Yolanda sent confidential documents regarding Ashley Griffith's employment from her work computer while she was still employed. The court heard 2 emails were sent to me at A Current Affair, whilst additional documents were sent to her own private email account, which the prosecution alleged contained personal information of some children and their parents. Yolanda is facing a charge of using a restricted computer without the consent of the Uniting Church to cause detriment. Her lawyers questioned several witnesses to determine whether there were any restrictions placed on her computer, as she was still an employee and had access to her work emails, as well as a phone and laptop belonging to the Uniting Church. Uniting Church managers were also grilled on the fact Griffith was cleared by an internal investigation of the complaint that he had been kissing a young girl and allowed to return to work. The church required that he undergo an informal counselling session to reflect on appropriate and inappropriate interactions with children and review the relationships with children policy within 30 days.
Can you tell us why the Uniting Church cleared Ashley Griffith to come back to continue abusing little girls at the centre?
Grant Weaver is the Uniting Church's Executive Director of People, Culture and Learning. He was involved in managing the initial complaint about Ashley Griffith and Yolanda Baruki's eventual termination.
How do you feel about this case with a paedophile cleared but her on trial now for speaking out?
None of Ashley Griffith's 91 victims have ever been identified by A Current Affair or other media covering the case.
How do you feel about those little victims that were affected after he was returned to the centre? Do you think the Uniting Church has handled this matter well?
The case continues with closing submissions tomorrow. Former Queensland Premier Stephen Miles won to add his opinion on the role of childcare workers.
One of their most important jobs is to keep children safe, and anything they feel they need to do to keep children safe, they should be supported to do, not prosecuted for doing.
I couldn't agree more. And Dan Nolan joins me from outside the court. Dan, it's been a big day. We also heard from a parent of one of the victims.
Yes, Ali, how all of these young victims have been treated is what's driven our reporting from the get-go. Nobody can ever imagine what it would be like to walk a mile in their shoes or feel the pain that their families continue to feel after sending their child to a daycare centre where Australia's worst ever paedophile happened to be the teacher. The woman who gave evidence was the mother of the little girl who Ashley Griffith was observed to be kissing while she slept at the Uniting Church Centre back in 2021. Yolanda is the one who notified her about the incident, but this mum expressed how angry she was at Yolanda, working for the Uniting Church, who would not provide her with a copy of the internal investigation report due to, quote, privacy reasons. She told the court, all I got told was someone had kissed your daughter, and that's what I was left with, and trying to figure out how it could happen. She went on to say, we've been kept in the dark for 3 years on everything, and we've been told not to talk about it, and we've done that. She even explained that the Uniting Church continued charging her childcare fees whilst Griffith was stood down. And Ali, this has always been about the victims and their families and the failures to stop this horrific offending sooner. At A Current Affair, we've been trying to expose those details over the past 15 months, and we will continue to do that, whatever the outcome is of this case. Ali?
OK, thanks, Dan. Let's hope it ends soon. Appreciate it.